Welcome everyone, and thank you to the MBS team for pulling this together. Ken just asked me to open up and welcome, but not present any IBM charts, which is very good and very hard to do, having been in IBM for so long. I'm just going to cover a couple of updates with you. So one that I think most people are probably aware of, that we have a new CEO in country for IBM Australia New Zealand. So our previous CEO, who was David LaRose, who many of you have met, is now our global leader for channels. And so he has taken off to New York as at a week ago to run channels globally, which is fantastic news for us. He really understood the channel. He used to run the channel for IBM in Europe. He is Australian, but he is now running IBM globally. So we'll see him at any global events such as Partner World or Think. In Australia and New Zealand now, Katrina Troughton has taken over from David. So Katrina started IBM as a graduate. She is a 30-plus year IBMer. She ran New Zealand for 4 years. Her most recent role was running the enterprise and commercial team out of Asia Pacific. She also has been running software in ANZ in previous roles, and she's also been in global roles in software. She is, and I keep getting asked the question is, does she understand partners and does she understand channel? And yes, she absolutely does. She understands how we need to go to market. For those partners in the room that have ever dealt with her, particularly I was in New Zealand last week talking to the New Zealand partners over there who knew her from her 4 years as their country general manager. They're very pleased that Katrina is in that role. So just a couple of other key points. Next week, we are down in Canberra for a partner event down there, where we're working with our federal government team, Ruben Bettel, who runs that, and all his client execs, on how we grow within the federal government our partner community, which has primarily always been, or majority has been, direct. The team down there cover about 6 agencies of 100, and they can't cover the rest of them. They don't have the resource to do that. So we're doing some specific partner mapping in Canberra, which is similar to an event we did in New Zealand last week around account planning with our dealmaker team, with our client exec team, and with our partners around particular accounts. That was a very focused, day and a half workshop that we will look to replicate that and bring to Australia. First off will be Canberra. And just another event. In November, we have our Cloud Innovation event, which we have Ginny Rometty coming to town, as well as 4 of her senior vice presidents. So this is not the same as Think. The target audience for this is the C-suite of our clients and our partners, and it's also got a very technical stream. So it targets our technical audience, again, across clients and partners. So the invites for that have already gone out to our clients. There's 2,000 clients that they're targeting, and the invite for partners will go out within the next week. They're a little bit behind because when you're dealing with Ginny, all invites have to get signed off by her office. And so we're targeting around 400 of our partners to be at that event in November, which for us is exciting. We had Think this year, which was a great success, and it's another way to showcase what we are taking to market. And our partners in that are being invited to work with us on some of the parts of that schedule. So you may have already seen the invites go out on that. So that is mainly what I would like to cover. Thank you again for you all spending your time here this afternoon, and I think I'm handing over to Dev. So thank you.
Thanks, Alison. Hello. Thanks, MBS. Thank you, Ken, Craig, for inviting me. And over the next half an hour or so, I'm hoping it'll give you an idea. So I know there are many of you across different organization partners. other SIs, and of course, Red Hat friends also in the audience, which is great. There are two parts that I do want to get across as a message. One is this IBM and Red Hat together. Where is that goodness in that? And what does that mean for partners from primarily a skill set perspective? Because there is a new type of skills to start considering in this open source world and also in this cloud and containerization world. Keep this interactive. It's a nice, intimate room. So, if you have any questions, raise, ask, because the questions you'll have, probably others have in the room too. So I'd rather go through those than go through slides. Yeah, and I think any of you who know me from my past roles, I'd rather do the whole session of talking and no slides. So let's keep it to that. I am part of the Synergy office. So there is an office that's been set up in Asia Pacific with a representative in each of the IBM markets. Which is almost like, I call it's not the official term for it, but I call it the Switzerland between IBM and Red Hat, where we see all sorts of good intent, bad behavior, good behavior, take any variation of that coming through. But I have realized that I've been in this role from March, and the amount I've learned, I think, in this last few months about IBM, about working with a completely different organization, working in acquisition, a new kind of technology, the intent that's come through is really, really strong on ultimately growing Red Hat revenue. This is a really important point. IBM as an organization is there right across the AP. We have offices everywhere. Red Hat, on the other side, can now work with that and help grow Red Hat revenue. That is an underlying principle that we have been working on. So the Synergy office works on keeping that approach going. The second thing in regards to Synergy office is, and this is something to really consider because the questions you're going to ask me will stem from this particular next sentence. Red Hat will remain independent and neutral going forward. This is really important. What does that mean? It means IBMers don't sell Red Hat. And there's a whole stack of questions I get on a daily basis about that point. Red Hatters don't sell IBM because we want Red Hat to be neutral. Red Hat's beauty lies in its ecosystem, and we don't want to disrupt that by any sort of distractions in that process, right? So things like, I get questions like, oh, there's an ELA coming up, very important client. The client has asked us to look at their Red Hat price points and reduce that and put it in the ELA. We can't do that. That's like asking me, can you reduce Microsoft prices? It's as different as that. Red Hat contracts happen on red paper. IBM contracts remain on blue paper, obviously. Keep that thought in mind because many of the questions that will come up, I will come back to that point. Okay, so what's the beauty of this discussion? Why this whole Red Hat and IBM conversation? I was with, are there any, apart from DXCS or DXC, are there any other like KPMG, Deloitte, Accenture in the room? No? Don't want to talk about it? Okay. It is fine. It's one of your peers I was with in Singapore about a week and a half back. And I was meeting their cloud strategy unit. So this is a team that goes to market and advises people on cloud, moving to cloud. And there was an SI in the room who goes and implements stuff, and there's another person who does the advisory, both partner level. And the person who was the advisory literally has arms crossed across them for pretty much for the first 15, 20 minutes. Didn't want to really engage with me, what's happening here. And they asked this question about 10 minutes in. So my customers tell me their cloud strategy is AWS first, or their cloud strategy is Microsoft first. Where does IBM play then? Did anybody see the problem with that statement? AWS first is a procurement strategy. It's not a cloud strategy. And I tell this to all IBMers now, and for me it was a big light bulb moment, which is don't shy of, if somebody wants to move their entire production environment to AWS, okay, we'll help you with that. Most people haven't moved their production workloads to the public cloud. That doesn't mean the 80% that's not on the public cloud, we have to just go and get them to the public cloud. That is not the cloud message. The cloud message is modernization. The cloud message is containerization. The cloud message is if you have 40% of your technology on mainframe right now, containerize it there. That's the cloud message. It's about the cloud technology, not necessarily cloud as an infrastructure. Now, where does the beauty of IBM Red Hat come in? What's the single biggest containerization platform in the market today? Red Hat OpenShift. At that same session that I was with the SI that time, they're an advisory unit, I shouldn't call them an SI. They ended that session when they saw Cloud Paks, and I'll talk about Cloud Paks in a second. They ended with that, and they said, literally, this is their words. If we don't recommend OpenShift, then we are not being vendor agnostic. Because if I'm not recommending OpenShift, I'm actually recommending Pivotal or Docker Swarm or Docker whatever, which becomes very product specific. OpenShift, though, is the industry standard. We are putting OpenShift as the container platform for IBM across every platform you can think of. So all our middleware, all our software will be running on OpenShift, be it on mainframe or elsewhere on the public cloud. You want to put Watson, and I have to put Watson, so anybody who knows my background, obviously it's Watson. If you want to put Watson on the mainframe, you'll do that with OpenShift on the mainframe. Now, all of you are hearing the phrasing, and if you know, I've been with this journey for a while, you've heard ICP, and if there are questions coming up as to where does ICP fit into this conversation. So ICP the next version of ICP, the best way to put it, is going to be something called Cloud Pak for Applications. Cloud Pak for Applications, which will include OpenShift in it. So Cloud Pak for Applications is already out. It got released on the 1st of August. So why am I saying all the stuff I'm saying with this picture at the back? The cloud discussion moving forward is not one cloud, one vendor side of the story. When I talk to people about cloud, this is the cloud story. It's about hybrid. It's about multi-cloud. It's about your cloud technology running behind your firewall, your cloud environment being managed. It's about edge computing. It's about extending your legacy for a period on the cloud. And doesn't mean public cloud, right? And when we start discussing this modernization conversation, that's where the AWS, Microsoft, Google style conversation comes in. And I love this term. I love the term hybrid monocloud. I think Gartner came up with that. That totally differentiates the conversation of, my cloud, which is going to be AWS first, so everything is about on the same hardware, same software, single vendor, single management. That's a procurement strategy, whereas truly hybrid multi-cloud. Your cloud strategy is not dependent on the infrastructure you will run it on. Your cloud strategy is dependent on your business requirements. Where do I need to run that workload? On the edge, in Indonesia. Okay, there might be an Ali cloud there. Where do I want to run that workload? Behind the firewall on my mainframe. That's okay. But I can have a single platform that runs across all of them, and the containers would fit on wherever I wanted to, and I'm going to manage that with a single management framework. You're getting the gist of why this suddenly is becoming really interesting? From an IBM Red Hat perspective, IBM has a pretty strong foothold in the middleware application land in the enterprise world. Red Hat, apart from the fact that they have Red Hat Linux, which how many of you still thought that Linux was pretty much the only thing Red Hat did? I got asked this question this morning. This morning I got Red Hat, those Linux guys. Yeah, of course they're the Linux guys. I mean, most of the world's Linux runs on Red Hat Linux. Yes, they are. But they have a whole stack of products, which are very cool. Not that IBM will be selling those products, but putting those together, there is a lot of goodness happening in IBM Red Hat land. Okay? If you are a partner of IBM and you want to sell Red Hat products, then you need to become a Red Hat partner. Right? So you can't come to IBM and say, I want to sell Red Hat partner. Monique's sitting right there, Gary's just sitting there. Reach out to them and they'll help you become a Red Hat partner. But that's your channel to sell the Red Hat stack. But remember though, the open source ecosystem that Red Hat is, well, almost the leaders of, should I say almost? The leaders of. Remember these two phrases, projects and products. See the middle portion out here? Fedora, RDO, CoreOS, OKD, those are projects. Those are open source projects built with thousands of people globally who contribute to projects and build those products out. The stuff you're seeing on the outer circle, not a circle, but the outer side, are products which Red Hat sell as subscriptions. That's what's supported and the enterprise uses. That you can go right now and download and try it out yourself. Okay? So be aware of the difference of these 2 points. And IBM will, sorry, I'm just, the slide looks, it's changed. So, okay. So we announced the acquisition last year, we closed the acquisition, and if any of you have been following the news on that from the 1st of August, we announced that on one day when we closed the acquisition. So imagine from the time of acquisition closed to about, I think, 3-4 days, we announced this. We announced 5 cloud packs, and I'll talk about that in a second. They are IBM offerings with embedded Red Hat. We announced that Red Hat OpenShift on the IBM cloud. So you can do that right now. You can literally go to the IBM cloud right now and deploy OpenShift for yourself. Nothing's stopping you there. No big implementation, installation management. Just go and do it right now. We announced in Q4, OpenShift will be coming on ZN1, Linux 1, which is really important also to complete the broader enterprise story. And we have launched a whole stack of GBS, GTS, IBM services offerings to manage Red Hat environments. There's also an IBM Garage piece in there, which is a really good onboarding side of things. Okay, sorry guys. The colors are slightly different, but the main point to take on this is Red Hat Linux plus Red Hat OpenShift is going to be IBM's foundation layer across its software stack. Okay? Not because somebody needs to go and buy this from Red Hat, and you can, but because we are slowly embedding a lot of that in IBM's capabilities. But I go back to the early days of, let's say, a database discussion, and you had to buy an application, and it had embedded databases. So if you buy 5 applications, you have to buy 5 databases that are embedded in it. You don't realize it. There are 5 implementations. There are details of those that are happening right now, and I can talk to that. But be aware, moving forward, that is what's happening across the board. We announced 21 offerings, I think in, was it April? March, April, May. Sorry, in May, we announced these 21 offerings. Each of these offerings have Red Hat capabilities built in. Each of them can be sold with an IBM part number. So these are IBM products and offerings, which have Red Hat in it. But they are aligned to all the different business units across the cloud message of advise, move, build, manage. I'm going to speed up a little, just conscious of time, but there is a lot of things to be covered. I think anybody who has been in acquisitions has been surprised with the speed at which we have done this. Speed at which we closed acquisition, it was a massive acquisition. The speed at which we kept everything separate and neutral and will continue being neutral. And then at the speed at which all the different IBM units came together, and I was on these calls late at night, getting these out. Each of these have pricing, products, client presentations, architectural presentations, competitive information available right now. Okay? Now, I mentioned cloud packs a few times. It's that funny white colored things on top, but those are software offerings right now. Okay? And the cloud packs, if that's what the next, yep. The cloud packs are all based on Red Hat OpenShift. They come with Red Hat OpenShift embedded in it, and the Red Hat OpenShift comes with the required Red Hat Enterprise Linux licenses that the OpenShift needs. So that whole vertical stack for the middlewares is available already now. There are 5 of them, and there'll be more coming out. So, as partners of IBM, you can sell this right now as normal part numbers. Okay? You will have some of the skills for this already, so I'll just expand out to this slide. You will have skills for many of them. So if you're in the integration space, you probably have MQ, Aspera, API Connect skills. If you're in the data AI space, you will probably have Studio, Python, Streams, Cognos skills. These products are all pre-bundled, pre-containerized, available on these cloud packs. Okay, pre-containerized, fully supported end-to-end. That's the part that the clients are really interested in right now. You want to put your Cognos on AWS, anything above AWS, there'll be one phone call to make. That's really powerful. It does not exist anywhere. You want to put, and I'll talk about the individual bits in a second, you want to have a multi-cloud system running on your premises, you can. And from that on-your-premises system, you can manage your AWS containers and Google containers and IBM Cloud containers. Really powerful message. Now, some details as we work through. So the OpenShift in all these 4, the data integration automation management, they are what is known as restricted OpenShift licenses, which means you can use it only for what's in that vertical stack. The one in applications is an unrestricted OpenShift license, but limited to the the license of applications. So it's based on VPC licensing, which you are comfortable with by now, I'm guessing. It depends on how many VPCs you have bought that you're going to use. So for example, if you have got arbitrary number, 50 VPCs of applications, you can use one for Swift and the rest for a completely different container. But the other ones, all 50 have to be used for the vertical. Okay? Any questions? Because I think I'm going to slow down to the last phase. Questions? None. I love this audience. Okay. This is good. I'll come down. So there have been a few webinars that I've been running since June, actually. These are all recorded. So June, I would highly recommend you have a look at, if you're new to this cloud and container world, watch that recording, and I can send the link out through Ken or Craig. But since then, with Monique's help, we have been running some introduction to Red Hat technologies for technical audience. We have done OpenShift in June. We did Ansible last week. We are doing Linux and Satellite tomorrow, and then OpenStack next week. Happy to share. This is not because we can sell it. It's because in just the sharing of technology and to be aware of these different pieces. I will send these links out if you want to go through them. But this is the part that I really want to end with and talk about, and where this matters. And this is where it has mattered for IBMers also. The first one was what I was talking about earlier. Cloud and containers are not clubbed together all the time. Container strategy is different from cloud strategy. And yes, containers work beautifully on a cloud strategy. But you work with your organization and you work with your customers to talk about that strategy, the journey to cloud strategy, which is the modernization discussion, and the containerization discussion. The other one is just be a little more comfortable with open source concepts. Because one thing I get a lot is, I can download this, why do I need to buy a subscription for? Okay, so, and the answer, of course, to that is support. It is about production systems. It's about getting a number to call. It's about updates and all sorts of goodness that Red Hat offers, or any open source organization supporter offers. I mentioned products and projects. Get comfortable with OpenShift as a platform. If you become a Red Hat partner, you get access to a really nice learning platform. So go access it. But besides that, OpenShift also has a really good hands-on learning platform online. Try that out. And the last one, IBM's super good at that top-down selling. We go out there, we talk to the CTOs, the CEOs, and we will do an ELA, and we will do the multi-year, we'll manage the entire backend for a telco, for example. Red Hat is amazing at working with the developers, working with the people who build stuff, working with people who procure today. And this is an important part. The bottom-up procurement is something IBM has never been good at. And Red Hat is awesome at. And to put these two together really allows us to reach through the entire organization. Was that my 30 minutes? I've been told 30 minutes. But any questions, though? No? Excellent. Yes. That's a good point. Okay. I love the planning, specifically planning analytics, so all the products. Thanks. So, in regards to planning, sorry, that's most of us here. Thanks, Gary. Okay. First thing to watch out for is the product roadmap for each of these products themselves. So containers are the future of A, IBM, and B, the industry in general. So the software that we use today, whether it's on-prem or whether it's something that you're installing on some bare metal, is going to be containerized. And planning specifically, I think half of it is already containerized and half of it isn't. So it's going to happen. So you need to be comfortable with that discussion, not necessarily from, I need to know that this can be containerized, that's a tick in the box, but what does that mean from an installation, management, dev test prod environment? I want to put the new version in, how do I do the CI/CD on that side of things, that management side of it. And I want if my customer is telling me I need to put this on AWS or the IBM cloud, how does that discussion come in? And that applies to all the, let's say, I won't say legacy, but the more standard software stack. Yeah? Okay. Yes, or not just the whole dev and whole prod. It could literally be part of the application running on-prem, part of the application running on prod, part of the application running on two different public clouds. That's how it'll be. It'll be broken up into containers, either at a whole application level or at a part, feature, function level. Yeah. Thanks. Back to you, Ken.
Thanks, Dave.
So I'm here to give you guys an overview of what Seismic is. I'm going to keep on theme here and continue to talk about Red Hat. I know Dev mentioned how to become a Red Hat partner. So I want to show you how you can actually use Seismic to educate yourself on how to become a Red Hat partner and also find materials regarding the Red Hat offering. But before we go and take a look at what Seismic is, just a quick kind of overview of why Seismic and what it is. We kind of have 4 pillars or 4 kind of themes that we incorporate with Seismic, and that's store, find, deliver, and refine. And so the idea here is Seismic is IBM's sales enablement solution for their sellers and their partners. And really what it is going to be a centralized location to find marketing, approved content that they've made available for sellers and partners. Centralized location. It's going to be an easy to find experience, very powerful keyword search to find that top kind of priority content that, again, the IBM team has made available for their partners and their sellers. We're going to empower you to deliver that content out to your customers. And one of the really great things about Seismic is we can understand the engagement of our customers. And that really leads us to have more informed conversations, so refining our message back to our customers. Because if we understand their engagement, we understand what they're interested in and what they might not be interested in. And so the idea here is that we can have more quality conversations with our customers. And if we're reducing the time it takes us to find content related to IBM's products and offerings, then we can have more conversations with our customers. So if we have more conversations, more quality conversations, then we can really reduce that time it takes us to get a lead to an opportunity, and it reduces the time it takes us to close an opportunity. So I'm going to switch over. It might take me a minute or two just to log in and get everything ready, just to showcase what Seismic looks like, because I want you guys to feel comfortable and confident that leaving here today, you can log into Seismic, you can find content regarding Red Hat and the other IBM offerings. So bear with me for about a minute, maybe turn to your left and right, introduce everyone, and I'll be back in 1 minute. Okay, so I'm going to take you through, all right, we always kind of make the assumption everyone knows how to log into everything, but that's just not the case. So IBM's instance of Seismic is ibm.seismic.com. And when you type in that URL into any browser, you're going to come to a screen that looks like this. And for our partners, obviously, we're going to be clicking on IBM Partner here to log in, and it will ask you to input your IBM ID. So a prerequisite to, I believe, having an IBM ID is being a member of Partner World. So if you sign up for Partner World or you already have access to Partner World, then clicking on the IBM Partner link here will allow you to log into Seismic. By the way, feel free to ask me any questions. So when you log into Seismic, this is what you see when you first come in. And this is what we call the Doc Center. And I'm going to take you through a couple of components here, a couple of areas of the Seismic platform so that you can really begin to understand how you would leverage the Seismic tool. But again, this is that centralized repository for the top priority content that the IBM team is making available to their sellers and their partners. So you guys are really having access to the same content that has been produced within IBM for the sellers as well. So when you land here, we have what we call the Doc Center, and this is our central location for our content. But just a couple of other areas of this platform I'll just kind of touch upon briefly, and then I'll go into more depth in a bit, is our home screen. We can take a look at that in a second. We've got News Center, and think of this as kind of like Pinterest, right? There's going to be topics that the IBM team might be producing, some articles, some information, where you can actually choose to subscribe to pieces of information there, or not pieces of information, rather topics, kind of like your Pinterest model. So there is, I believe, a whole channel of content regarding Red Hat that you could subscribe to here. We have Workspace. Think of that as like a digital briefcase and a collaboration space for you and your colleagues. And then finally, we have Live Insights. And Live Insights is the location in which we can see the engagement of the content that we send out to our customers. And by understanding, I mean, have they opened the files that we've sent to them? And have they spent some time reading those files? And possibly what pages of those files have they read? So this is our Doc Center. This business partners location here is really a collaboration or curation of all of the different business units of IBM and the content made available. So this right here is really our primary centralization and source of truth. But if we are interested in other topics or other business units, we can certainly click into those, and it will be brought to curated sets for that particular business unit and that particular part of the organization. Just a couple of other things. One is if you're ever needing some training and you've forgotten what I've spoken to today, there's an article here that talks a lot about how to use Seismic. And we can also provide, there's places to provide feedback here as well. So kind of sticking along the theme of Red Hat, sorry, this is a little hard to do on a trackpad with one hand, so bear with me. Sticking along the theme of Red Hat, we're going to switch to the Red Hat profile. Bear with me on the Wi-Fi as well. And what this is going to do is it's going to bring up a curated set of Red Hat specific content. If it loads. Sorry. So one of the first things I think Dev mentioned was how to become a Red Hat partner. So we've got an article here that will tell us how to become a Red Hat partner. So again, centralized location for material and information to kind of educate ourselves. So this is what we call an article. In here we can see all sorts of information about how to become a Red Hat partner, how to execute a deal, learning about the acquisition, partner program, selling with partners. And really this is going to be a great location for us to learn a little bit more about how to be a Red Hat partner. Additionally, we can do keyword searches within Seismic to find maybe Red Hat content, right? So up top here, we've got a keyword search. And when I execute that keyword search for Red Hat, it's going to look back at all the content that I have available for me, and it's going to look at the name of the file, it's going to look at the description of the file, the metadata on the file, and it actually scans the file itself. So PDFs, PowerPoints, even videos, right? We're going to kind of log kind of the audio or maybe the images within the videos and return those files back. So if we want to go into a sales presentation, we can click directly into the Red Hat sales presentation, and that will load for us here directly in Seismic, and we can take action on that particular file. So speaking of News Center, as I mentioned, News Center is a location in which we can subscribe to channels of information, read articles, and really be informed from our IBM team. So as I mentioned, here's just a curation of the articles based on the channels I've subscribed to. Here are the channels that I am subscribed to. And then additionally, I have other channels that if I want to explore and subscribe to those channels, I can. So again, think of it as kind of a communication platform where you can subscribe to topics that are of interest to you, and certainly avoid the ones that might not be of interest. And then I spoke about Workspace. And Workspace is really, again, as I mentioned, your digital briefcase, and it's a place where you can collaborate with your colleagues, and you can collaborate with people from the IBM team as well. And so what I'll show you here is we can create folders and we can add content in, whether it's on our desktop or directly from within the Seismic Doc Center. And that allows us to, again, invite our colleagues to collaborate with us on those folders and the files. Maybe we're preparing for an on-site meeting, and we want to gather our materials so that we are prepared for that. And then we can also deliver that content out, and I'll show you what delivery looks like from there. So a repository here where I can create folders, and I'm going to create a new one for, I'm going to just call it demo 820. In creating that folder, now I have a folder here for demo 820, and I can easily drag and drop a file from my desktop. I can also use the plus button here to bring in a file, but I'll just bring this sample one in for my desktop. So I can load that into my workspace, which allows me to use that ability to send that out, deliver that out, and gain some engagement analytics back. I can also add collaborators to this folder. So you guys will see other individuals that have logged into Seismic that share the same domain with you, email domain, but the IBM team is also eligible to add you to folders so that you guys can partner together and collaborate on content. So I'll add my colleague here. And then the other thing I can do is I can come back to my Doc Center, I can take a look for Red Hat content again, and I can add content directly from the Doc Center into that folder. So maybe I'm looking for a Red Hat client presentation, right? And this is probably where we're going to find all of the materials that Dev talked about to learn more about Red Hat and materials that you can use to supplement your conversations about Red Hat. So we can filter down our results. And on the left-hand side, we have all sorts of filters, right? We have category, buyer journey, audience, what type of material, is it client-facing or not? And once we find that material, we can kind of preview and see what we have, or what that document contains, or it entails, rather. If we're after this client private Red Hat, cloud private Red Hat client presentation, again, we can open that up directly within the Doc Center. Yep, so there's a Seismic application. Yep, there's a Seismic Android and iOS app. So you have access to the same content that you have access here. If you've created a folder within Workspace and you've shared it with a colleague, you actually have access to your Workspace folders within the app as well. And you can still deliver out those pieces of collateral to your customers from the app and engage and understand the engagement. And I'll show that to you in a second here. So I'm gonna did this load? Okay, so here is our client private Red Hat client presentation. I can add that to Workspace, and I can find the folder in which I wanna add that to. And so that will be added to my folder. I shared that folder with my colleague, John Demo. And I can go and open that in Workspace, or if I actually want to deliver that out, I can stay here. I can kind of continue shopping, if you will, and navigate around. But I do want to show you briefly what we mean by, or what I mean by understand engagement, because I think it's a pretty powerful tool. It's pretty cool. So we'll take a look at that first presentation, the client references here. And I'll showcase to you what we mean by understand engagement. So down here at the bottom, we have what we call delivery options, and one of these is called Generate Live Send Link. And this is also available to us in that Doc Center experience. And what we're doing here is we're gonna rather than send an attachment, and sometimes sending attachments, we have file size issues. We're gonna generate a link that we can send out to our customer, so that when they click on the link, we're gonna get some information back about their engagement with that file. So we can put in some information to understand a little bit about the who we're sending this to. So I'm just going to put my colleague's name in here. And I know my colleague, or I know the individual that I'm sending this out. His name's Hayden. He works at ABC Company. This is just so you can kind of associate those engagement analytics back to who it's being generated for. You can put in some little helper text here that tells you, hey, click here, or take a look at this reference guide, or take a look at this client presentation, the case studies. This is just, prettifying the URL. We can allow them to download it. We can password protect it. We can put an expiration date on it if we want to. And then we're generating that link. And the idea is once we generate that link, and we copy it to our clipboard, we can go over to our communication channel. Maybe it's Outlook, maybe it's Gmail, maybe it's WhatsApp, maybe you're chatting with someone on LinkedIn. I'm not really sure, but it's really a URL that you can go and take anywhere. So the reason that's valuable is because when we look at our live send activity under Live Insights, we're going to understand a little bit more about the engagement once they've clicked on that URL. And we will see things like, well, one, did they click on it? Two, which files did they spend time looking at? How long did they spend on that URL? And whether or not, if we gave them the ability to download it, whether it was downloaded. So we'll take a look here at my sample that I created yesterday. I can see that Hayden spent 59 seconds on it, but he viewed 3 of the 3 pages. And when I view the details of that, I can actually see a page-by-page breakdown of the pages that they were on. So that allows me to have a little bit more of an more informed conversation about the topics they're interested in versus the topics they are not interested in. And if we gave them the ability to download it too, it might be interesting to see that they've downloaded it. So, up. No, No. So, well, it's just hosted on the IBM environment. When you create one of those URLs, it's just hosted on the IBM environment until the expiration date that's set for that particular URL. And when they come, they'll be able to view it, and there'll be a nice kind of experience on the left-hand side of your profile. If you've uploaded an image to your profile, it'll have your picture there and your email address, and it will tell them the names of the files that you've shared with them. Good question. Any other questions so far? I know I've kind of gone through quickly some of this stuff. Yep. No, but you have this live send activity will keep a running list of all of the URLs that you've sent, and at the bottom you have your not viewed, right? So you'll always have this list of the URLs that you created that have never been opened, and you can do some searches up here. So keyword searches up here that you can do. You can also sort by all activity, by views. So you can certainly keep track of that.
And what about if they forward it to someone else in your organization?
I get this question every time. So they can certainly forward it, but the engagement information that you'll get back will still be associated to the individual that you originally sent it to. So I created this as Hayden-ABC Company. You're just going to get a repeat, engagement report back that basically says that Hayden from ABC Company looked at it again. Yep. Any other questions?
No, if somebody wanted to load up their own content, is that possible?
Absolutely. So we do that within Workspace, and I really apologize that the Wi-Fi has been a little spotty. But in Workspace, right, as I said, it's kind of a digital briefcase. The plus button allows you to create folders. The plus button also allows you to upload content. So you can bring in content. Any type of content really can be brought into Workspace. Not everything can be live sent, or we can generate a live send link. Excel file, for instance. It needs to be more of a video or page-based kind of file, right? So that we can understand, hey, they spent this much time on this page or that much time on that page. But absolutely, you can upload content in there. And again, as I showed, you can add collaborators to a folder or a file. Adding collaborators allows you to comment and address those people. So I can do John Demo, right? So we can communicate back and forth on files. We can communicate back and forth on folders of content. Additionally, we can, there are annotation capabilities in here as well. So if you guys are partnering on a particular file and you want to do some revisions, or you want to ask for someone to make revisions, in the bottom left-hand corner we have annotation capabilities where you can circle, scribble, you can @ people as well, and that will send them an email notification saying, hey, go and update the cover slide. And one really cool thing to showcase here, I don't want to annotate, is that we can also leverage Office Online. So I know I'm taking a gamble with the Wi-Fi here, but in Office Online, we can make adjustments to that presentation as well. So maybe you get a presentation like this, you want to edit the cover slide, put your name in, put your date in, maybe you want to go down and make a couple of edits somewhere within the presentation to personalize it to your organization. You can certainly do that as well with the Office Online functionality. Once you've made those edits, you can save it back to Seismic, and from there you can deliver with that same live send functionality. Yep, so I can come in here and one-hand typing, right? I can do Nate, and I can save and return this back to Seismic, which will basically allow me to send that updated version. Okay. So the last thing I just want to talk about is what we call kind of our home. And our home is going to be a curation of all of those different areas of the platform. So we talked a little bit about keyword searches and how we can use filters on the left-hand side to refine, are we after client presentations? Are we after a particular business unit's content, maybe a particular audience? We have our most recent and our favorited content here, and just kind of picking up where we left off with the files that we were most recently looking at, or the ones that we most commonly use. We have news here, right? So those articles of information that we subscribe to in News Center, maybe they're different channels, different topics that we're interested in. Those newest articles will be surfaced here, and you have the ability to just flip over to the remaining articles and the remaining topics that you might be interested in. So I'll pause there. Any questions? I know that was a really quick overview, but again, if you're a Partner World member, then you'll have access to Seismic. You can go to ibm.seismic.com and log in. It is, again, a central location for all IBM sales material for partners and sellers. And the idea here is really supposed to be a quick and easy place to find content to deliver out, making it easier to have, again, find that content, more conversations, more quality conversations with your customers, understanding the engagement and really helping you to progress leads to opportunities and closing those opportunities at a quicker and more efficient rate. Any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
All right, authorization and certification. Thank you. Just chuck it. Yeah, thank you. Ken asked me to go through this particular topic because there's been a number of changes in the way that we authorize partners for our products this year, and the way that we certify partners as well. And it's one of the common themes that we were getting from our business partners, what does authorization mean? What does certification mean? So I thought I'd just take a couple of moments today to take you through that, and the impact to your business partner status and what it means to engaging with IBM. So really simply to start with, I'll cover off what authorization is, followed by what certification is. Authorization is really the contractual relationship that you have with IBM. So it's the authority to sell a particular product of IBM's as a reseller in the market and add it to your IBM business partner agreement. So it's got nothing to do with certification whatsoever. It's a contractual relationship between IBM, the distributor, and yourself as a reseller or a solution provider to have the authority to sell that product in the marketplace. Some of our software products, the software as a service products and also the open distribution products, are authorized by default. So you don't actually need to add them to your business partner agreement, but you do need to add the authorizations for the particular product groups that you want to sell. So by default, you're not authorized for everything, but you can now add them quite easily to your business partner agreement. Certification is IBM's way of measuring the amount of skills that we have in the marketplace against our products. So it's at an individual level, it's also at an organization level, but it's making sure that we have the sufficient skills and capabilities in the marketplace through our resellers and solution providers to deliver the capabilities required to implement, sell or technically enable customers on the products and the solutions we have. Any questions so far? Feel free to jump in. So the changes that took place this year. So in February at IBM Partner World in San Francisco, we announced a number of changes to simplifying the way that we speed up adding authorizations to business partner agreements. And the idea was that we wanted to enable a lot of momentum within the business partner community, especially in light of the impending acquisition of Red Hat at that time. So you see Dev has already outlined a heap of cloud packs and solutions that sit within those cloud packs. We wanted to enable our partners to easily add them to their business partner agreement and be able to sell them from day one. We overhauled the software authorization process, and we announced that you are now able to add a product to your business partner agreement and resell that without certification. Now, there are some, distinct differences between what you do and don't get when you're certified and not certified, but at an authorization level, you're now able to add particular products to your business partner agreement and be authorized and sell that without a certification. Okay. Probably one important point that I'll make is for our existing business partners, you've invested significantly in certifications to maintain your particular competencies for your organisations. And I want to re-emphasise that the way that the program is structured, we've made sure that not all of the benefits that you get if you are certified are accessible to non-certified partners. And there's quite a distinct difference between what you do and don't get, which I'll go through in a minute. All right, the slide where I'm sure I'll get some questions. Whenever you put one up with numbers, you get questions. All right, so what do you get if you are certified and what do you get if you're not certified? The differences can be significant. So this table summarises the particular rebates that you get from IBM when you're reselling IBM product. And the ones that are highlighted there with required for incentive are the rebates that you will only get if you are certified as an IBM business partner and authorised. Now, that could be anywhere from 10% up to 70% of back-end margin difference between a non-certified business partner. So it is quite a significant difference still between being certified and not being certified. The other thing I wanted to emphasise here is the partner-to-partner networking. So whilst we've opened up our product authorisation to any business partner that wants to resell it under their business partner agreement, you can still partner or team with a certified business partner, realise the value of the entire incentive stack and negotiate between yourselves and potentially share that margin and rebate as well. So whilst not being certified, you can now resell our products and not leave money on the table opportunistically if you come across something that you want to sell. There's still a lot of value in partnering with one of our certified business partners strategically to deliver value to a particular client in a solution. So use the full margin stack, negotiate with one of our certified business partners and realise the benefit of the entire incentive stack. Sure. Yeah, yep, you will. Yep, no worries. Ken's recording it too. All right. Any questions on that at all? Nope? Okay. So one final thing, just wanted to touch on a lot of certified, non-certified jargon going on here. But the certifications are still critically important to most business partners for maintaining your competencies and also your registered silver, registered silver, gold, platinum partner levels as well. So they all contribute. So make sure you got your certifications, still maintain your certifications. The value in the program is still rich if you do have your certifications, but we've now opened it up to allow people to opportunistically engage, try before you buy, take a lower barrier to entry if you would like to have a look at selling a particular product. But by all means, the program is still designed around the business partners who invest will get the greatest reward at the end. All right. Now, today we've seen a number of announcements around Red Hat, the training and skills that come from Red Hat. Alison mentioned that we've got our managing director moved to New York to take over our channel organisation globally. Seismic was another topic that was covered as well. All of this is published on a weekly basis in the IBM ANZ Business Partner newsletter. Now, there's a bit of a trick to making sure that you get the right content from this newsletter. So everyone has their IBM Business Partner login for Partner World, which you need to access Seismic and all of the other content that we have. The newsletter, you can go in and select what content you would like delivered to you on a weekly basis. I've got all of the content selected for me. This was a snippet from last week, an update on the HCL divestiture. The Data and AI Forum is coming up in Miami, Florida, so I'm trying to get a Guernsey to that. Probably won't work. And also the Seismic sales enablement as well. So on a weekly basis, this newsletter is pumped out. It comes from eCommunications mailer at us.ibm.com. And whilst it's coming from the system, all of the information is actually curated in Australia, and we select locally what we'd like to push out to our business partners based on your preferences in Partner World. So I'd certainly encourage you to use that as a key communications tools for being on top of everything that is hip and cool and current. And certainly everything we've discussed today has already been published on this website, on this newsletter, over the past few months. All right. Finally, this is my big announcement. So we've done a fair bit of investment into the IBM teams over the past 6 months within IBM, aligning to our business partner go-to-market model. Whether it's the deal makers within IBM, the S&S team, our brand reps, or my team, Darren and Billy, who are here today, and Jane, Heidi, the entire IBM business is getting behind business partners and the value that you guys bring to our organisation. One of the things that we don't do well, which this team I'll announce in a second will, is tie the multiple facets of IBM together with our business partners to actually grow opportunity. So under Cheryl, I might get you to stand up, Cheryl, with your team there. We've got Neha, we've got Jennifer, and we've got Sarangi. So these 4 lovely ladies here have started a new team, thank you, called Client Success Managers. Now, the Client Success Managers will work with you as our business partners to identify where we can expand opportunity within existing clients today together. So Cheryl runs the software subscription and support team. They've got some access to a lot of information about what IBM's customers have today already, and we're trying to unlock the secrets of that information to actually go and pursue and identify other opportunities in the marketplace where we can grow within our existing client base. So you might get a phone call from Jennifer Sarangi or for Neha, encouraging you with the information that they've got around where we can identify some further success with the customers that we already serve today. And we've also got we've got dormant accounts that we'll identify as part of that process as well, and work with partners to actually go and target solutions and work out where we can grow the business together. That was it from me.
On that, is there a way that the partners can actually come back to this team?
Sure. Cheryl, any?
Come back as in
Yeah. I think the key is getting the information that we have, that our partners have, and our client executives who I know you often deal with in many of our accounts together in a single team approach where we can go and identify opportunity together, especially where you might be selling one particular product set today. You may not even be aware that a customer has another product set which is completely unserviced by another business partner. And we see the opportunity to couple that together, build a broader strategy with a client executive, and approach the client together and take out a solution. So thank you for your time. By all means, I think we've had one live demo today. The only other live demo I want is a drink of wine shortly. From our perspective, the most important thing is that the OI is coming from the business partner. So within our metrics, we want to ensure that the work, whether it's yourself or a business partner that you're teaming with, is recognised. There is a little bit of, what was it? Jiggery pokery. That myself and my team will deal with. We may ask you to reverse your CVR or withdraw your CVR so the other partner can put one in. But in the spirit of it all, we want to make sure that the partner gets a full reward for what has come from the business partner ecosystem. Okay. Yeah, it comes down to what you're authorised to. Compliance is still an area where we would negotiate on a deal-by-deal basis, but the basic rules and principles still apply, absolutely. They are, yeah, absolutely. So within IBM, within our software business, there's 3 categories of customers. There's growth accounts, strategic accounts sit on top of that, and then on top of that are key accounts. And the scale is, fat at the bottom, skinny at the top, based on the amount of customers that we've got. In the growth segment in particular, that is, what we aspire to be 100% channel all the way, and we have very little conflict in that area whatsoever. As you go further up the stack, though, you may come into situations where we've got, direct ELA contracts, but we negotiate through that. So what I would say has changed the most is the willingness of our business and our brand reps to consider how the ecosystem can actually provide a better outcome to their customer instead of being single-minded and focused on a direct transaction. Yeah. So we negotiate through every deal at the moment, but it's turning and it's quite a positive experience so far. Yeah. Thank you.
August this year, we had changes approved. So what you will see now is that there's been don't laugh me down, there's been a 0.5% increase in the margin for IBM-led deals for renewals. Okay, so IBM has recognised that you are engaged in that level, and for the 1% that you were getting, and that was all you were getting previously, was 1%, wasn't worth the paper it was written on. So what they have done is they've increased that marginally to, the bottom of the table's incorrect, to 1.5%. And in the other areas, you've still got the potential to earn 8 or 17%. And what they are trying to do is protect the incumbency of partners. So they have changed the rules around CVR. So if you are the incumbent partner in a renewal, you now will get more margin than somebody coming along on a drive-by. All right, so it's up to you as partners to maintain that relationship with the partners, with the new CSM team from the renewals side of the business to work with them on driving new business and really growing the opportunity for you. S&S, we all know how important it is to all our businesses. So it's the thing that finances a lot of the business, and we need to make sure that we maximise the opportunity. Now, in Australia, we have a very good S&S renewal record, and we want to continue to grow that, but we can't just be renewing. We've got to be looking at opportunities within those accounts to expand the footprint, to increase the number of users, and grow the business. Because it's not doing anybody any good. Nobody in this room except the renewals team gets paid on renewals. Okay? Darren, Billy, Kerry, they all need new license sales. So we need to take this opportunity with our existing install base to actually maximise the footprint in there, to protect it from competitors. And this is one of the reasons that we're going back to the install base for those lost or dormant accounts to say, well, at one stage you had the product, at one stage you were using the product, why aren't you anymore? How can we re-engage, and how can we help you, get success? So the new license model, which Matt put up before, there's been no change in that model at all. It is as it has been since the beginning of the year, or late last year, beginning of the year. And the SaaS model also is there. Now, this is always a very sensitive topic. So, and the point of getting you all together is not to, have you all sitting there in hushed tones and walk away saying, this is a waste of time. If you've got issues about the profitability of your business, about where you're going to go with your business, about margins and things like that, we need to have that conversation. Because there may not be a lot of stuff that we can do here, but there are other ways, as Alison and Matt talked about, the engagement with the direct reps, the engagement with the client execs, the engagement with the deal makers, about how we can drive new business. That's what we've got to look at, is ways that we can do that. And we're currently engaged with IBM in conversations about those accounts that are no longer active. How do we go back to those accounts? How does IBM help you as a partner community go and talk to those customers again? And respecting history, respecting previous incumbency, but you need to be aware that if there's been no activity in an account for 2 or 3 years, then are you still classified as the incumbent? All cards on the table, guys. You've got to be maintaining the contact in there. So, any questions at all on anything that you've heard today? We are recording it. I apologise for the size of the screen with some of the presentations. We'll be sending out the link to those presentations so that you can have them and you can share them internally within your organisation.